Now that the dust has settled on Final Fantasy XVI, it felt like the perfect time to do an update on all things Final Fantasy Union. First though, I just wanted to say a big thank you for all of the support, and for checking in by watching this video. It genuinely does mean a lot. As you can imagine, the past few months have been pretty full on, and you probably noticed a big drop in our output throughout July and early August. I just needed a break. So after the review of Final Fantasy XVI was published, I decided to take some time off from almost everything related to the channel. It's not something I've ever really done before, but it was nice to just have some space, and it allowed me to think about the future of the channel and everything else it has grown to encompass. Now, in spite of the intense burnout of the past few months, 2023 has, so far at least, actually been the best year in the history of the channel. And as we've just passed our 7th anniversary, that feels like something worth celebrating. It shows that the way we're continuing to evolve and drive the channel forward is continuing to resonate with all of you. And as a creator, you can't really ask for much more than that. Over the past year, one of the main adjustments we've made is to place more emphasis on the development of long-form content. This started with The Rise and Fall of Ivalice, an hour-long documentary-style video. It explored the entire life cycle of the Ivalice sub-series by taking a look at the many games associated with the majestic world created by Yasumi Matsuno and Hiroyuki Ito, and then connecting them with the business happenings at Square and subsequently Square Enix. Next, we had the complete evolution of final bosses. Now, with each evolution topic, we have tried to consistently increase the quantity of games featured without diminishing the quality of the overall product. After switching to this new format back in 2021, it's seen evolution videos stretch up to almost 45 minutes in length. That seemed quite sensible, but it's clear there was appetite for more. So we decided to push the concept even further by producing an evolution video that was almost double the length at 85 minutes and 50 seconds. We then followed this up with the complete history of Final Fantasy. Serving as a spiritual successor to the complete history of Square, it took an in-depth look at the creation of the original Final Fantasy and its lasting legacy as an isolated property. That video clocked in at 82 minutes and 45 seconds. As a collective, these 3 videos have been viewed almost 1.2 million times, and that's insane. But what's quite humbling is that these aren't just hollow views. People have literally strapped themselves in for the long haul and consumed hours upon hours of content that's been produced in our typical granular style. Based on the response, we would love to produce more content of this nature, and we're going to do so. But if the channel is going to continue to thrive, we also need to be pragmatic. Contrary to what some people believe, I still hold down a full-time job and work on Final Fantasy Union in my spare time. If I were to focus more on long-form content, that comes with an element of risk, as production times are way longer, which means we end up publishing less videos.
Jeez, Gramps, you really know a lot.
And even though the figures of those 3 videos are impressive, they still only represent a fraction of what the channel has achieved. So, to give the channel the best chance to succeed on multiple fronts, Final Fantasy Union has expanded to be a small team. As part of the writing team, we have Colin and Maria. While I'm working on the production of more long-form content, they help to create scripts for some of the more short-form content, such as our list videos and facts videos. Over the past 6 to 12 months, they have become more and more accustomed to my very particular style of writing and research, and they've also brought some new ideas to the table too. But rest assured, due to how granular our content must be to remain authentic to the Final Fantasy Union brand, it's probably not too surprising to learn that everything still flows through me.
Once Lady Yuna fixes her hair, we leave.
From the video editing side, Lauren has stepped away from doing consistent work. She's still very much involved with Final Fantasy Union, but it's become more of a side hustle due to the super cool stuff she's doing, such as hosting her own TV show, where she gets to interview important figures in the video games industry, such as Ben Starr and the English Simmer, winning awards such as Campaigner of the Year at the MTV Women in Games Awards for the work she continues to do on She Plays Games. being part of BAFTA, where she was a juror on this year's BAFTA Game Awards and also the BAFTA Young Games Design Award, and helping people to navigate their careers in the video games industry as the program coordinator at the aptly named Limit Break Mentorship. Due to this, Vlad, Jane and Matt now make up the video editing team. They each work on different forms of video, with Vlad working almost exclusively on the evolutions, and Jane is supporting me on the complete history of Final Fantasy. Now, whether it's the writing team or the video team, every member is awesome at what they do, and the added bonus is that they all just love Final Fantasy. Not only does this mean that what they produce really resonates with you as our audience, but it means our staff meetings often dissolve into hour-long discussions about our thoughts and feelings about specific games and characters. It also means that there are now lots of moving parts with the channel, but we try to ensure that we have a consistent pipeline. And it's through their hard work that we've been able to keep the channel functioning by keeping the output of content high without there being a reduction in the quality that you expect from us. It's also why your support on Patreon is so essential, as it helps to support this small ecosystem. And I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who does contribute on Patreon. It helps to support the growth of the channel and helps to reduce the risk by making us less reliant on the whims of the algorithm. If you'd like to find out more, you can head to patreon.com/ffunion. But this isn't supposed to be a video about Patreon, so that's the last you'll hear about it from now on. Instead, it's time to talk about perhaps the most unexpected aspect of how Final Fantasy Union has grown, the book. At the end of 2021, we decided to run a Kickstarter campaign for a book called The Legacy of the Crystal. The challenge was that we had neither written a book before nor overseen a successful crowdfunding campaign. In light of this, we reached out to numerous specialist video game book publishers for support, but they either just never responded or said that just because you get views on a YouTube video, that doesn't mean anyone would actually buy a book that you write. It was pretty disheartening to get that feedback, especially as we knew just how awesome our community was. But as we'd also been wanting to write a book about Final Fantasy for years, we figured, hey, even if what they're saying is true, and only 50 people actually back this book, at least we tried, and we can tick it off our life goal bucket list. Then the campaign launched, and we hit our funding target in under an hour. Fast forward to 30 days later, and 1,695 people had backed the project. A short pre-order campaign later, and that number was pushed to over 2,000. Now, 2,000 books is a lot. They have a collective weight of just over 1,000 kilograms or 2,500 pounds. Nonetheless, we used our garage as a temporary staging ground and tried our best to ship out as many as we could as quickly as we could. And we did this in spite of the numerous obstacles thrown in our way, including, but not limited to, a foreign state hacking the Royal Mail Postal Service. Fortunately, we made it through though, and feedback about the book was great. People thoroughly enjoyed the content, and they enjoyed it so much that they made other people want it. But we had no long-term distribution plan, and the extra 300 copies we ordered sold out within days of us promoting that they were available. This put us in a chicken and egg situation. Any future copies would need to be funded by us, with costs recouped after they sold, and as you can imagine, that poses quite the financial risk. So to try and gauge how much interest there still was, we put out a form where people could register interest. 400 people filled out that form in a day. So in good faith, we ordered 450 books. And with that, it now feels like the right time to say, if you missed out on the book before but would like to get a copy, there is a link to our Sendao store in the description below. But that brings us on to what's next. We asked our Kickstarter backers about what they would like to see us cover should we ever write another book, and the topic that received the most votes was summons. After a lot of exploratory research, we've now landed on an idea that we think would work quite well. It will be structurally similar to The Legacy of the Crystal, but instead of chronicling games, we will instead chronicle the myriad of summons that have graced the franchise over the years, discussing how they came to be and their impact and legacy within the franchise. To try and control scope, the plan is to only focus on summons introduced within the mainline games and only those that are summonable. But even with those restrictions, the book will still feature almost 100 different summons, ranging from the likes of Bahamut, Ifrit and Shiva, all the way through to Minimog, Wit, and of course, Eggman. At the moment, we have no concrete timeline as to when this will all happen, but their ambition is for a crowdfunding campaign to go live before the end of the year. If you'd like to be notified when it all starts to kick into gear, sign up to our newsletter, Wark Digest, which is lovingly crafted each week by Chris. On top of the YouTube, residual sales of The Legacy of the Crystal, and planning out the new book, we also have a few other irons in the fire. Kingdom Hearts Union, our sister channel, has been dormant for too long, and we will be looking to rekindle that particular fire. Due to how many things I'm currently working on already, this may mean hiring someone extra to support, but that will depend on how far we can make the finances stretch. We are, of course, also working on producing the complete history of Final Fantasy II. This entry is often overlooked when talking about the franchise as a whole, so we're really excited to tell its story in much more detail. Our provisional timeline for publishing that video is late September, early October. It's already starting to take shape though, and Patreon supporters have decided that there will be an exploration into Dragon Quest III and Zelda II, The Adventure of Link. There are also a few other projects waiting in the wings, including an extensive collaboration we're planning out alongside another YouTuber, and some ways that we can bring the Final Fantasy Union community together in celebration. We aren't quite ready to talk about those in detail just yet, but hopefully we'll be able to do so at some point in the future. Either way, thanks for tuning into this update, and thank you for your continued support. I'll see you all again soon for more Final Fantasy goodness.